Good evening, you're watching AWANI Tonight with me, Farhana Sheikh. ByteDance, the parent company of Tik Tok, is set to lay off around 500 staff from its global workforce. This includes employees in Malaysia as it shifts towards a greater use of artificial intelligence for content moderation.
Employees were notified of their dismissal via email late on Wednesday. A TikTok spokesperson said the company plans to invest $2 billion in trust and safety initiatives worldwide for the rest of the year, aiming to enhance the efficiency of its content moderation efforts. TikTok employs a mix of automated detection and human moderators to review content posted on the platform. Automated technologies now account for 80% of the removal of content violations. The world's most valuable startup is also planning more retrenchments next month as it consolidates some of its regional operations. Beijing-based ByteDance currently has over 110,000 employees in more than 200 cities across the world, according to its website.
Malaysia officially assumes the ASEAN chairmanship for 2025 from previous chairman Laos. The symbolic handover ceremony was performed by the Prime Minister of Laos, Sonsai Sifandon, to Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim on Friday. The handover took place during the closing conference of the 44th and 45th ASEAN Summit and related summit in Vientiane, Laos. During the event, Malaysia reaffirmed its stance on supporting the Palestinians' fight against the Zionist regime, while ASEAN and China agreed to commit to resolve the conflict in the South China Sea. The ASEAN-Malaysia 2025 logo was also introduced, featuring the ASEAN emblem inside a hibiscus-shaped cycle with the theme of inclusivity and sustainability. This is the fifth time Malaysia will be chairing ASEAN, following its earlier chairmanship in 1977, 1997, 2005 and 2015. Meanwhile, a ministerial statement on GISB Holdings will be presented in Parliament next Tuesday. Home Minister Datuk Sri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail confirmed that Parliament will discuss the issue, allowing MPs to debate it before the budget is tabled.
Saifuddin said his ministry wants Parliament to serve as a platform where the public could access authentic information and developments regarding GISB. Meanwhile, he added that the police investigation into GISB is being carried out in accordance with the law. A total of 16 individuals, including senior management from GISB, were rearrested on Thursday under the Security Offences Special Measures Act 2012 (SOSMA) in connection with allegations of child exploitation and indoctrination of religious fanaticism. Since the launch of Ops Global in September, 58 individuals had been detained under the same act. During the month-long operation, authorities have arrested 415 individuals and rescued 625 victims, aged between 2 months and 28 years.
In other news, a woman involved in a fatal accident which resulted in the deaths of 3 students from University Technology Mara UiTM Dungan never received mental health treatment in Terengganu. According to Datuk Dr. Kasimani Embong, Director of the Terengganu Health Department, there is no record of mental health treatment for the 49-year-old woman at any state health facility to date. Dr. Kasimani said the department, however, cannot determine whether she has sought mental health treatment in other states. Terengganu Police confirmed that the woman's Honda CR-V SUV struck 2 motorcycles carrying 4 students on Jalan Pantai in front of the campus at around 7:35 p.m. on Wednesday. 3 of the students, aged 20 to 25, died at the scene, while another sustained serious injuries. The 49-year-old woman was arrested at the scene with suspicion that she may be suffering mental health issues. She was remanded for 4 days starting yesterday. Ten out of 100 humanitarian aid containers from Malaysia have successfully arrived in Gaza. The containers, which will be delivered in stages, include essential items such as flour, personal hygiene kits and medicines.
2 containers were brought into Gaza last month, followed by 8 additional containers through the Rafah crossing last Friday. The delivery is part of Malaysia's fourth humanitarian aid mission launched in March, comprising 1,358 tons of goods to Gaza. The mission, headed by the Malaysian Consultative Council of Islamic Organisation, said it had waited nearly 3 months for clearance to bring in the aid. It added that efforts are ongoing to bring in the remaining 90 containers via land route through Jordan.
We'll go for a quick break. Stay tuned for more.
Rambut gugur lagi? Macam mana Gunakan Pantene Baharu dengan provitamin mikro yang meresap dan menguatkan rambut dari dalam. Rambut 10 kali lebih kuat terhadap rambut gugur. Pantene Baharu.
Gempur di AWANI 7.45.
Israeli strikes killed 22 people and injured more than 100 in central Beirut on Thursday evening. According to Reuters, who quoted security sources, Israel was targeting Wafik Safa, who heads Hezbollah's liaison and coordination unit, but he survived. The strikes hit a densely packed residential neighborhood of apartment buildings and small shops in the heart of Beirut. Israel did not issue evacuation warnings ahead of the strikes and had not previously attacked the area, which is removed from Beirut's southern suburbs where Hezbollah's headquarters have been repeatedly bombed by Israel. Tensions have intensified dramatically in recent weeks, with Israel bombings killing many of Hezbollah's top leaders. In the country's south, 2 UN peacekeepers were injured after Israeli forces fired at a watchtower used by UN interim force in Lebanon, a move strongly condemned by the agency and the international community. Over in the US, 1 person died and 23 others were rescued after being trapped underground due to an elevator malfunction at a Colorado gold mine. The incident occurred during a tour at the privately owned Molly Catlin gold mine on Thursday.
The hour-long tour takes visitors 305 meters down the shaft into the gold mine. A technical issue with the lift left one group stuck halfway down the shaft for 6 hours. 1 person died in the first group, while the remaining 11 tourists were rescued, 4 of them with minor injuries. No further details were provided on the cause of death. The second group of 12 were all returned to safety later in the day. Tours for the mine were set to close for the season this Sunday.
A new round of polio vaccinations in the Gaza Strip is set to begin on October 14th, according to the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF. The campaign aims to vaccinate around 590,000 children under the age of 10, with area-specific humanitarian pauses already been agreed to.
The new round of vaccination followed what the World Health Organization, WHO, deemed a great success in the first round of the vaccination effort in Gaza. Around 560,000 children under 10 years old were vaccinated against polio during the first round of the vaccination campaign, conducted in 3 phases in mid-September. The campaign follows a temporary ceasefire to facilitate the vaccination effort on August 29th that Israel and Hamas had agreed. Gaza reported its first polio case in 25 years in August, involving a baby.
The 2024 Nobel Peace Prize has been awarded to Nihon Hidankyo, a Japanese group of atomic bomb survivors. The winner was announced in a ceremony in Oslo, Norway today, where the group was lauded for their efforts to achieve a world free of nuclear weapons.
The Norwegian Nobel Committee praised the group's use of witness testimony to ensure nuclear weapons must never be used again. Founded in 1956, the organization sends survivors around the world to share their testimonies of the damage and suffering caused by nuclear weapons. Their work began almost a decade after the devastation of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. A total of 286 candidates were nominated for this year's Peace Prize, comprising 197 individuals and 89 organizations. Iranian human rights activist Narges Mohammadi won the prize in 2023 for her work in fighting the oppression of women in Iran.
For youths, achieving financial stability is essential, and starting early can make all the difference. Siu Yan Tak, CEO of Ringgit Plus, discusses how to approach introducing financial literacy at a young age for a secure future.
I think the way we think about financial literacy for children is that it's very much like family values. Right? I think where it really starts is at home, right? Because as you grow up, you watch how your parents manage their money. You learn the attitudes towards money, and I think a lot of those attitudes will then grow up with the kids. So I think it's very important that parents do invest into and spend time teaching their children, right, about the basics of financial literacy. Just start with the basics, right? I think what a lot of I'm a father, right? And what a lot of our friends will do is you obviously start them off with an allowance, right? You teach them the importance of saving, but then it's also as they get older, I think it's important that before they get access to something like a credit card, or when they open up their first bank account, do explain to them, right, like what are the pros and cons. I think something which we've noticed at Ringgit Plus over the years is that a lot of people kind of grow up with a feeling about certain types of financial products, right? They can say something is good or bad. Even some will say that if a family member had lost money in investments in the past, they might say, oh, the stock market is bad. Well, so I think what we try and do when we think about financial education, I do this personally as well, is you shouldn't, let's focus on what are the potential outcomes, right, of any kind of financial product or any kind of financial decision, and then educate them about, what could happen.
While digital financial services offer convenience, it's important to manage them responsibly to avoid falling into debt.
I think broadly what we are seeing is a very strong and steady move towards adoption of digital financial products, right? So for example, I think this year it was well over 90% of Malaysians now use at least one e-wallet, right? I think e-wallets are actually a fantastic tool, not just for youth, but for anybody, because it allows you to actually track your spending very carefully, right? I think PayNet has done a fantastic job to make sure that QR codes are available almost anywhere you go. It's very accessible for any kind of shop or SME to provide that. And the benefit as a consumer, right, is that whether you use whichever e-wallet or mobile banking app you use now, almost all of them will provide you with tools to actually track your expenses. I think that's probably one of the best places to start, right? I think you make sure that you have a clear idea of where you're spending your money, because we've learned that actually a lot of people, when they don't track their expenses, they get quite surprised when they do start to write things down. And now it's just so easy, right, with the introduction of things like e-wallets.
Catch the full conversation tonight on It's About Youth at 10:30 p.m. only on Astro AWANI.
That wraps up AWANI tonight. I'm Farhana Sheikh. Thank you for watching.